Next week, the government will release the next budget. Last year's budget was a tough one, especially in regards to social services. Sean Fraser is a former Regina City Councillor, and he's now the Senior Director of Partnership Initiatives at the YMCA in Regina, and also works with Housing First. So thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Give us a sense of what you're expecting from next week's budget.
Sure, well, it's hard to know what to expect. You know, there's been some tight lips. We don't actually know the details of the budget, but it certainly sounds like this government's on track to try to balance the budget in short order. And the fact is our economy doesn't have as much money in it as it used to per capita, so that sounds like it means it's going to mean more cuts, more of what we saw last year.
And do you think that will hit the social service side especially hard?
Yeah, certainly. I think it's important for us to keep in mind that there's different ways to manage budgets, right? That we live in a resource economy, but any economy is really cyclical. Resource economies are especially cyclical, and you know, it can be designed by design actually to make the ups, the highs and downs of your budget cycles more pronounced. You know, I think when we had a lot of money here in the province, say the middle of the boom, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we were spending a lot right then. You know, we were really ramping up that high point of our budget cycle. And now we've gone in this austerity mode. So I think we shouldn't be, surprised by that. That's like a way to run a budget actually, and that's what we're seeing from our government right now.
So cuts a probability with the budget. What are you hoping to see with regards to our social service coverage in the province?
Sure. Well, I think the challenge with cutting social service spending, especially when the economy is in a slump, is that really you kind of pay now or you pay later. You know, like the most expensive way we can deal with some of these social issues is prison, actually. To keep someone in remand in Saskatchewan costs about $80,000 a year. You know, the Housing First program that we're working on right now, all with federal funding for the moment, we house people for about $20,000 a year, a little less than that, about $18,000 a year. We're able to keep someone housed. And you know, it's way cheaper than keeping people in jail, keeping people in sort of those downstream things like emergency room, that sort of thing. It's a lot cheaper, and also it means people don't have to get sick in the first place or commit a crime in the first place to get there. So the way I see it, it can seem like savings, but you're going to pay for it later. It's putting it on the credit card. If you don't invest in some of these things like Housing First when you need to, again, you're going to pay fourfold later down. So.
Mm-hmm. So after last budget, it was received very harshly in some ways. There were a lot of rollbacks afterwards with regards to cuts to social services. Do you think the government's learned anything from what happened last year?
You know, I really don't know. I don't have any insider insight on that. You know, I guess we'll find out. Again, we should be clear though that, again, treating the ups and downs in your economy, trying to pronounce, like there's two ways to run an economy. You can try to level out those ups and downs, try to keep things level. I think that for the most part, the people that are sort of at the bottom of our economic system, the people that need the most, that's a much easier way to live. But also there's people that benefit from rocketing up those ups and downs in your economy. Again, when the economy's hot, spending money. There's people that actually benefit from that. And when, you know, the economy's down, making cuts, you know, it seems like nobody wants cuts. Surely nobody does, but actually, you know, the downside of the economy, there is a class in our society that benefit from some of those things. So, you know, I expect that we will see lots of cuts next week. We'll see what they look like, but I wouldn't be shocked if we see more cuts. That seems to be the style that our government in Saskatchewan has been working with for the last few years. So,
tell me about that class that you said that kind of benefits from more of a up and down with the budget.
Sure. Well, to be clear, no one wants a shrinking economy. That doesn't benefit anyone. But I think people that own capital, you know, when there's money being made, the more money the government's spending, like we saw at the height of the boom, the more money it is for people to make. And also when we see the economy slumping right now, like I just came over from the CBC studios here, there's been so many places up for sale, you know, as the economy slows down, there's like good deals for people to have. So people that still have money actually can benefit from some cuts, keep taxes low. There's like sales to be had for people that have money to spend it. For the rest of us that don't own capital necessarily, and for people, you know, talking about Housing First, people that maybe don't even have a steady income, this is the worst time to do cuts. We should be, you know, hopefully saving money when we have the money and spending it when we don't have the money. So that's, to me, really the question. Are we trying to like make the ups and downs of our economy more pronounced? That actually is a theory. That's not by accident. Like people actually, there's some people in our society that want that. Or do we try to level things out?
An interesting way to look at it. So I'll have to watch for next week to see what happens. But thank you
Sure.
so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thank you too. I really appreciate it.
All right, Sean Fraser is with Housing First Regina and also works with the YMCA.